We have never seen this before from Connor McDavid as Team Canada has one of the best opening games of a tournament I've ever seen in my eyes before, as the Four Nations Faceoff starts off with a bang with Canada in Sweden from the Bell Center. All that and more today on Oilers Digest as we recap last night's game and take a look at the Oilers that were in last night's game. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here to the channel. If you're part of the 90% that have subscribed, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. But folks, if you're part of the 80% that haven't, what are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that button down below and subscribe to Oilers Digest for any and all Oiler news. Yes, lots of news, whether it's Four Nations, whether it's trade deadline, whether it's anything and everything in between. It will be here on Oilers Digest. But without further ado, Sid and Connor at last. Yes, when Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal in 2010 for Team Canada, Connor McDavid had just turned 13 years old, and here we are, 2025, February 2025, and Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid finally both putting on the Team Canada sweater together, and it was a phenomenal game last night as Canada took it 4-3 in overtime over Team Sweden. Just looking at the scoring summary here, it looked like it was going to be a blowout early on here for Team Canada as the lethal power play of McCann and Crosby, McDavid, Reinhart, Makar, and everything and anything in between on that power play, and they only needed 10 seconds there to open up the scoring. And then Brad Marchand, 13 minutes into the first, from that sneaky third line of Marchand, Braden Point, and Seth Jarvis, making it 2-0 Canada. Jonas Brodin with a bit of a knuckle puck on Jordan Binnington, making it 2-1, and then we thought it was going to be insurance here from Mark Stone, making it 3-1 Canada. But Shea Theodore went down in the second period with a wrist injury, and Team Canada kind of looked lost from there as Team Sweden tied it up, making it 3-3 before the end of the third period, with goals from Adrian Kempe, with assists from Carlson and Ekholm, and then Joel Eriksson 7 minutes later from Bratt and Raymond. So into overtime we go, and it was end-to-end action. Looked like both teams had their equal chances to win it. Of course, lots of chess moves, taking it into the zone and then sort of circling it back, waiting for that opportunity to arise, and many opportunities for both teams, and lots of great saves from Philip Gustafsson and Jordan Binnington. But Sidney Crosby gets the assist on the winning goal from Mitch Marner, as the Bell Center faithful, for the very first time ever, cheer on a Mitch Marner goal. It was almost as strange as them cheering Brad Marchand with an absolute explosion from the crowd. But when it comes to Connor McDavid and finally getting to play with his idols, and just best on best with Team Canada in general, lots of thoughts from Connor McDavid post game. Says, I've been saying we've been missing best on best, and that's obviously why. That's as high end a game as you're going to find, as fast as a game you're going to find, skilled, great players doing great things. That's what we've been missing for a decade now, and it was a great game all around, and something the fans enjoyed, and something that the players enjoyed a lot. I know I had a lot of fun, and of course, Team Canada and Team Sweden, of course, looked like Team Canada was going to run away with it early, but after the Theodore injury, and Team Sweden sort of, went into the first intermission saying we can do a lot better than that, and so they did, and they started to become more of a cohesive unit with the Trey Kroner, making it 3-3 before the end of the third. But of course, Canada getting the winner, and assisting on that winner was Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid had lots of praise for Sidney Crosby this late into Sid's career. He says he's amazing, he's just ageless. It's a credit to him, it's a credit to how much he puts into his work ethic, credit to how he takes care of himself, and credit to how smart he is out there. He just gets it done time and time again, and he did that again tonight. I think people may have this tournament, they maybe have this tournament confused for an All-Star game, but it's not an All-Star game. It's a competitive event. Everyone wants to win, and you saw that tonight. Of course, it was very evident last night. Lots of physicality thrown around. Of course, Shea Theodore did sustain the injury. It wasn't a dirty hit per se, just an awkward landing into the board with his wrist. He's week to week, and he will miss the rest of the tournament. And of course, Team Canada cannot name another defenseman to the roster unless another one goes down, so they are left with 6 defensemen. Travis Sanheim makes his way into the roster on Saturday night against the Americans. But just looking at the stats wise, the game stats I should say, 28-26 in favor of Canada, which is amazing because they held Sweden to less than 4 shots in the first period. So Sweden crawling their way back, Canada dominating on the faceoff dot, 39-29, only needed 10 seconds for for their one and only power play goal, of course. Very tightly contested, but for the most part, the Stripes did put the whistles away, which was fantastic. You hate to see a game like that sort of muddied by the refereeing, and 25 block shots from Canada last night in an international competition. Folks, this is no all-star game. This is the real deal. And just looking at the natural stat trick chart here, of course, analytics never die with international hockey. The more numbers, the better there. And of course, Sweden dominated in the first period with Canada with a high danger chances for 6-0 in the high danger chances for category there. But of course, Sweden capitalizing on the one less defenseman for Canada and controlled play for a good chunk of the second and third period. But Canada, of course, getting the winner. So of course, Sweden, not a country you can take lightly, no matter who they bring to the tournament and no matter who Canada has. But when it comes to the Team Canada, of course, the Corsi for and Corsi against here, Team Sweden making them look, I don't want to say average, but, just the numbers that these guys are putting up. I mean, 41 Corsi for percentage from Ekholm. Mind you, he almost played half a game there, 28 minutes and 6 seconds. Good games here, of course, from like Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. Would have liked a little more from McDavid, not McDavid, well, not McDavid, folks. Don't get me wrong. Sam Reinhart and Mitch Marner on that first line with Connor McDavid, but it's only the first game of the tournament. As you can see here, 60 minutes together. But McDavid, of course, doing highlight reel things. He was trying to put it on a platter for Reinhart, and Marner just couldn't get anything going. So who knows if anything will be shaken up before the start of the American game on Saturday. But other than that, I mean, rest of the lineup looked pretty decent, although Hagel, Sorelli, and Konechny were on for 2 goals against, but I didn't have anything, bad to say about Marchand, Point, and Jarvis, or Crosby, McKinnon, and Mark Stone there. But when it comes to Connor McDavid in his line, he said, I thought we did a lot of good things. I thought we got a little bit unlucky not to find one. We generated looks, especially in the first period there. A little bit there in the third and coming down the stretch, but it was fun. It's going to be a work in progress all the way through. I think everyone's going to be that way. Every team, every line, every unit on the power play, whatever. It's going to be a work in progress, and today was a good start and something we can build on for sure. But that is not it for today's video. Of course, we're taking a look at the Team Sweden side as well on the deserved to win meter. A little bit disrespectful there of Sweden, 60% in favor of Canada. Meanwhile, Sweden is just barely reaching that 40% mark. But, of course, when it comes to the 2 Oilers on Team Sweden, Victor Arvidsson and Mattias Ekholm. Of course, Victor Arvidsson, a little over 10 minutes there. 1 shot on goal, 1 block shot. Not a really high event game for him, but Mattias Ekholm was one of the best players for Team Sweden last night, for either team, I should say, with 1 assist there, 2 block shots, and just all around excellent play with him and Erik Karlsson on that Sweden pair. Of course, very, very akin to an Ekholm Bouchard pair where, Ekholm knows how to play with that type of player on his right side. But you can see there Ekholm, activating, jumping up into the play a little more than you would expect when, he's back in Edmonton with the Oilers there. So, of course, getting that confidence on the international stage, always fantastic for Mattias Ekholm there. As you can see, Ekholm in Karlsson, 2 of the best stats-wise last night for all of Team Sweden there, with Mattias Ekholm with a 62% Corsi for percentage and Erik Karlsson with a 69% Corsi for percentage. So, controlling the play as he did, in his prime in 2017. So Erik Karlsson, he is not yet washed, folks. So, you got to be on high alert for a guy like Erik Karlsson. I mean, fantastic through and through. Mattias Ekholm just embracing the experience last night, soaking it all in. Said yesterday was such an experience. It was so cool just to be in this stage, and I think everybody understands what we missed throughout the years with best on best. It is the biggest stage, right? And then you get to do it in Montreal against Canada. Of course, lots of pregame fireworks. You got to see guys like Mike Richter, Mario Lemieux, Teemu Selanne, Daniel Alfredsson, lots of high event names on the international stage. And of course, Mattias Ekholm doing it right in front of them. It doesn't get much bigger than that, in my opinion. So I think it's just the whole night, the whole atmosphere, and having the overtime with the ups and downs and the chances both ways. Of course, the overtime last night. 10 minutes, and of course, you could tell most of these players are not used to the 10-minute overtimes. Of course, Nathan MacKinnon said, he could barely see by the end of it, but McDavid endorsing it heavily. He said he'd rather have that than to see the game end in a shootout, and I can't agree with him much more than that. Get rid of the shootout. Just make overtime 10 minutes. But that is only the first game for both teams. But let's see what is next for both of them with our What's Next segment here. Yes, it is an off day for both teams tonight as the U.S. take on Team Finland tonight, and an off day tomorrow, Friday the 14th. But both teams back at it again Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening with a doubleheader. Finland, Sweden, the Scandinavian duos taking on each other at 12 o'clock on Sportsnet. I do believe that would be 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and then 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain on Sportsnet. So, two heated rivalries back-to-back on a Saturday. Can't get much better than that. And just taking a look at the standings here, of course, Canada with a 2-point lead. Of course, 2 points for an overtime win, 3 points for a regulation win, which they were unable to get. So it makes things, very, very interesting, where 2 wins are not the same on the international level here, and of course doesn't really guarantee them a spot in the final, even if they lose to the US but beat Finland. So of course lots of strategizing here for every single team in this tournament here, where every game matters, and that's what's the beauty of it, folks. That is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of last night's game, and how excited for you for the rest of this tournament. That is just the beginning. If that's the beginning, who knows what else is going to be, brought to us here before the end of the Four Nations Faceoff, and just how much more hungry we are for international hockey. Of course, the NHL did announce a plan for the 2028 World Cup of Hockey to sort of have an international event every 2 years. Of course, next year in the Olympics in Italy, and then a year off in 2027, and then in 2028 with the World Cup. And again, every 2 years should make things very interesting, and hopefully we don't go without international hockey for far too much longer than we have already. 2014 Sochi, 2016 World Cup of Hockey, and it took us this long to get back to where we are now. But the more the merrier for Canada, US, Sweden, Finland, Russia, if they ever come back, Germany with Leon Draisaitl. Opportunities are endless. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the day, and take care, folks. Let's go Canada.